thought this guy was the GOAT. Focus on yourself, bro. You retired. Just do your own thing. If you're so much better than everybody else, just go and enjoy yourself. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
Tom Aspinall fires back at Jon Jones' claims and his brutal talk after Tom's injury, calling on Joe to mind his own business. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Tom is saying that he got disappointed by Dana White's harsh talk after his eye was poked. He said that he expects no more from anyone, claiming that he has had a bit of contact with the UFC, but not with Dana anymore.
Have you spoken to him since?
No.
Is that disappointing?
I've spoken to the UFC since, but I've not spoken to... Me and Dana don't really speak like that anyway, so...
Ever?
No. Ever.
Is that surprising?
Not really. I mean, no. No, it's not. I mean, I've never really... I've said hello here and there, but I don't really have a relationship with Dana. I have a relationship with... I speak to Hunter.
Being disappointed by the people's reactions, Tom said that although haters are taking advantage of his situation, at least they should be aware of their words. Everyone knows that he got an eye poke for real, people still call his injury fake without realizing how much their words can hurt one. The hateful arguments hurt everyone, whether they're fighters or any other human being, so the fan community should be careful while saying something.
I know there's a lot of haters out there. Of course, this is professional sport at the highest level. We have haters. But when the eye poke happened, obviously, eye pokes happen all the time in MMA, unfortunately. And got the eye poke. Obviously, everything went on from there. Went to the hospital, returned home. Didn't even check my phone or nothing for a while. And then I realized people genuinely think that I faked this. People actually think that I was faking it.
Despite everyone accusing Tom and making it hard to believe whether his eye poke was real or not, Luke Thomas and Denis Kuratov claimed that he believed Tom's injury and his words. Luke also highlights the importance of strategic talks, revealing that these strategies make the talks rational, and Tom is doing the same at the moment, and he is communicating strategically.
Right? I mean, it just seems like there's just a lot that happens related to it where I feel like he's entitled to make it, whether or not it's true, of course, is an important thing to consider. But even if it is true, even if every single thing he is saying about the nature of his condition is true, there's still a communication strategy that goes into place, to maximize the effect. And I feel like they've got a strategy, which is just more is better. And I don't know if that's true.
I think it's one of those situations. By the way, I like Tom, and I feel like he's in a.
I like Tom too. Again, I want to be clear. I believe him.
And we believe him.
Talking about UFC hypocrisy, they added that the UFC only gives favors to those who benefit them. However, at this stage, Tom is not adding any benefits to the sport, so he's getting no protection from the UFC as well. The reason Tom is not getting any assistance or support from the UFC could be his lack of interest in making contacts, as he is not much social.
Such a lack of relationship with Dana White and the UFC that there's not even any kind of aftercare or support from the organization after all this happened.
Would I be surprised that an organization notorious for its control as well as sensitivity to criticism and or playing favorites would not be as forthcoming with uncontracted, or I should say, voluntary help as the person who needs the help might expect? No, I would not say that I have any degree of surprise. Fellas, this is why you got to do stuff to protect yourself. This is why you need a union or a trade association.
Closing their remarks in Tom's issue, they said that Dana's not supporting Tom, which means the maximum community of UFC is not with him as well. They show the hollowness of the UFC, revealing that when a fighter's downfall starts, or he faces any injury, then he cannot get the benefits ever again. To wrap up the conversation, the UFC operates as a whole on the principle of give and take.
I mean, what I would say is, if Aspinall was a huge driver of an audience for them, Dana would probably look past a lot of whatever else is driving the friction. Right, so we probably wouldn't even be asking this question if he was drawing enormous amounts of eyeballs. It just wouldn't even be a part of the conversation. You would be factoring in that Dana would just find a way to make good use of that. Which, by the way, you would expect a promoter to do that. That would be the right thing to do. So the fact that he's not doing that kind of tells you where you're at.
While looking into fighters' politics, Chael Sonnen talked about the basic rule included in MMA policy, revealing that whenever a fighter fills out the form to enter, he is supposed to tell whether he has had any injuries or not. At that time, they do not reveal their injuries, but later, right after their fights, they claim that they fight with the injury, which is illegal and unethical. So just like Tom reveals his injury and does not pretend to be okay, every fighter should do this.
We have so many fighters that will come out after the fact and try to say they were hiding an injury. And there's 50 commissions in the US before you get to tribal territories, just in the US. And 50 out of 50 has the same rule, and 50 out of 50 elects from the beginning of time to look the other way on this rule. But after you do all of the medical procedures, you must sign a form under penalty of perjury that you are not hiding an ailment. And you have fighters that come out and they say that they were. Whether I fought anyway, but this justifies my loss, or I fought anyway and I won in spite of.
Going with the discussion, Chael highlighted that sometimes it's not just fighters faking or hiding their injuries, but many issues can arise because of a doctor's fault as well. He mentioned Frankie Edgar's name as an epitome whose doctor's misperceptions regarding his health led him to fight in a matchup. So, both fighters and doctors should be highly aware of their actions.
Frankie just went through this. My favorite fighter, Frankie Edgar, something just happened with him. Or he had given some results and he gave some imaging and one person read it one way, but it cost the fight, and then they got a second opinion. They realized, hey, we have a different opinion, but the fight was already rebooked and was for somebody else. I mean, I'm just sharing with you to put out your medical information, to share that with anybody. A doctor doesn't have a benefit in clearing you. A doctor now has a potential malpractice for clearing you. So if you're the one out there telling the world that you got a blown engine and not just a flat tire.
Chael concluded his discussion by claiming that when a doctor says a fighter is fully recovered and can continue fighting, only then should the fighter contest. However, usually, doctors do not speak untruthfully regarding their patients' injuries. This highlights that it's not just the doctor's duty to be honest for fighters' health, but the fighters also should not hide or false their injuries.
And now everything comes together, which means the money's right, and all of a sudden you start feeling better, right? 100% of the time, when you start needing the money, you start feeling better. But when you do that, you're not gonna see a doctor and he's gonna say, but listen, you said all of these things. Yeah, doc, but you're looking, you can see those aren't true. Yeah, well, no, not all of them. Some of them I need the patient's word. I need the patient to tell me how they're feeling. And I read all of these things about you.
Talking about Dana White's allegations, the Pain Game defended Tom, claiming that Dana reacted really ruthlessly regarding Tom's injury incident. He added that the fans are just protecting those fighters who are not even worth fighting, and dismissing those who have worked really hard for years. He compared Tom with Jon Jones as fans favor the latter one, revealing that UFC is just trying to keep the man in the game who prefers to run away instead of fighting.
And I get Dana was pissed because he'd been made to look a fool by Jon Jones, but that was never Tom Aspinall's fault. Tom just wanted to fight the best guy he possibly could. And you'd think MMA fans would love that. There's a fighter who's trying to fight the best, wants to win the title, wants to defend the title and be an active heavyweight champion, something we've not had in God knows how long in the UFC. But no, because Jon Jones weirdly has a lot of fans who want to see him protected and not get his chin smashed to bits, they supported the guy who ran away from the fight and trashed Tom consistently. What a weird fan base we're looking at.
The YouTuber also added that Tom is being trolled by Jon Jones, who thinks Tom is a quitter, but in actuality, he is not a quitter. As for a person who cannot see, this is hard to continue the game, and the same was the case with Tom. He also criticizes Jon Jones, who is obsessed with Tom, and Davis thinks that he must still be talking about Tom. He advised Jones not to get involved in other matters.
Are the fastest finishes we've ever seen consecutively. Just not a killer.
Immediately quits.
He immediately quits. I mean, he is unable to continue when he has two of the worst possible injuries an MMA fighter can ever have. Yeah, he can't continue. Believe me, I'm happy to call out a fighter if they're like, you know, giving up in there or whatever. That ain't what happened at all, man. Come on. And John Jones knows it, which is what makes this even more tragic. Like, are you going to be talking about this guy when you're like 60 years? He probably will be, because his achievements are all that he has in life. Like, it's very clear that he can't just like pat another guy on the back.
While being concerned about Tom's health, the Pain Games said that Aspinall has been facing a serious issue which requires a long time to recover. Unfortunately, these are those severe injuries which may risk Tom's career, but still, health should be the only priority. Finally, he criticized the fans and the MMA community who are not taking Tom's injury seriously, and they think he's just faking, but in actuality, only Tom is suffering at the moment while the whole community is distrusting him.
Things like explosions and landmine incidents often cause these. Are you listening to the severity of what usually causes these injuries? War, huge car collisions, and obviously that can sometimes lead to a complete loss of vision. This is serious, you know. And I mean, it goes on here, and the outcome is often poor due to the severity of the injuries. I mean, it's horrendous what he's going through. It goes on to say that he's got, you know, bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome, and a few other long words that sound really bad. The way this has been minimized by MMA fans, it's embarrassing.
There'll be haters out there disagreeing with it or whatever.
On the other side, breaking down Tom's recent conversation with Ariel Helwani, the MMA Joey said that this communication was nothing but a disaster. He said that Tom is just spitting all the way. However, he admires Tom's words he said for John Jones, as Joey also thinks that John deserves this much insult. He added that only this fire back at Jones was comforting, while the other conversation was just so pointless, and Tom hurt his own image by saying all that stuff.
And realize that Tom Aspinall, from a PR standpoint of view, is completely and utterly humiliating himself. And this Ariel Helwani interview was a complete disaster from so many different angles. We're going to break it all down in this video because Tom Aspinall speaks on Dana White. He speaks on the eye injury. He talks about potential surgery. He talks about potentially returning. He talks about John Jones. I actually agree with him, what he said about John Jones, and I thought he handled it perfectly. But man, this interview was a complete disaster. It was hard to get through. I kept saying, oh no, why would he say this? It was really, really bad.
Joey noted the absurd behavior of Tom's doctor, who says everything regarding Tom's eye injury is so random. Joey thinks that the doctor is saying whatever the UFC asked him to say. He added that a doctor's job is just to make it clear whether the injury is serious or not, and whether the person can continue fighting or not. But in this case, Tom's doctor is behaving ridiculously out of nowhere.
A doctor would never do this. They literally gave this a script before they hit record on the camera. He's criticizing the doctor who was in the cage at UFC 321, who is only supposed to assess, is there a catastrophic injury or not? Do I deem him readily available to continue? And the doctor said that he could. The doctor said, look, I don't see anything traumatic. And still, we're 2 months later, we're multiple hospital visits later, and we still haven't found anything. It's crazy to me, and it gets even worse. He's like, I am so sorry that this happened to you.
Making fun of Tom's responses to Ariel, Joey said that just like a politician tries to divert the focus of the public, Tom is doing the same. Because when Ariel asks him about his eye poke, he starts talking about the haters and all that stuff. After listening to their conversation, Joey concluded that both Tom and Ariel are working like a team. They must have collaborated privately. However, Joey noticed that during the whole communication, Ariel was just trying to make him look cool, but Tom himself was just trying to look miserable.
But Ariel keeps actually pushing him. Even though Ariel's working with Tom Aspinall, there's no doubt in my mind Tom Aspinall and Ariel have worked together in part with Tom Aspinall's team to try to help clean this up and make him a fan favorite again, and it's simply not working. So Ariel's kind of coaching him through the interview. But even with this softball interview where Ariel tries to make him look good, Tom makes himself look bad over and over and over again by not answering direct questions.
To conclude the whole, Tom Aspinall has been going through a lot of stuff at the moment. The analysts and the fans are curious to get a really authentic update regarding Tom's newly diagnosed problem, which is Brown syndrome. At the same time, even many renowned people like the MMA Guru and MMA Joey are trashing Tom and his doctor, claiming that Tom is just faking his injury and the doctors are following scripts. However, nothing is clear yet, as on one side, Tom's health is at stake, while on the other side, analysts do not believe him. Whatever the circumstances are, at least fighters should understand each other's condition, especially regarding injuries. This would make their bond more strong, even stronger. In the end, everyone is just taking what they believe for their own interests and benefits, but no one knows the truth.